I'd like to introduce Mar Velasco, co-founder of Neta. Mar,
Hi,
take it away.
Thank you so much for the intro. Hi, everyone. A pleasure to be here. So we're going to start sharing our screen and go through the presentation, open for questions after on. So yes, my name is Mar Velasco. I'm the co-founder of Neta, the product packaging intelligence platform. Before MIT, I worked at the CFO's office at Grupo Bimbo, where multi-million-dollar packaging decisions impacted directly the bottom line. And Grace, my co-founder, was a CPG manager at the McKinsey. So she worked with a lot of these Fortune 500 companies before she did her MBA and MPP from Harvard. Packaging is everywhere, and it's not only what you unwrap, but it's a very important part of the product. In fact, it accounts for up to 10% of its total cost. That's why we created Neta, an AI-powered platform that helps companies navigate packaging regulations and make informed decisions to purchase the best packaging design. We'll be talking more about the tech more in depth later on. So why does this even matter? Let's take your local Chipotle store, for example, which happens to be our first paid pilot customer. When you go into the store, you'll see burrito bowls, foil wraps, drinking cups. You'll see even more behind the counter and before the store. One typical Chipotle store has over 100 unique packaging items. And packaging isn't just about the branding and the functionality, it's about cost and compliance. Regulations around packaging have existed for decades, covering safety, chemicals, labeling, environmental standards, and tariffs. These regulations are fragmented and complex, and Anna at Chipotle has to manage them across hundreds of cities. This is truly impossible for her to do by herself. She's navigating over 400 unique regulations, mapping Chipotle's packaging specs to legal definitions and possible exemptions, estimating cost, and looping in sourcing or packaging engineers to redesign SKUs. Non-compliance can cost up to $1 million per month per state. So that's where we come in. Not only do we help you navigate regulations, but once we help you understand them, we guide you to the latest packaging materials and will help you procure them efficiently. By making smarter decisions, companies can cut costs up to 25%. This is huge. So let me tell you how this works. Our platform connects to our client spec systems. We scan their full SKU portfolio to analyze packaging weights, materials, and sales data. We leverage large language models to track thousands of regulations across various jurisdictions. These models process complex regulatory text and map them to real packaging SKUs, ensuring that insights are precise, actionable, and tailored to each customer's unique packaging footprint. So as regulations evolve, our system will continuously update and provide real-time compliance alerts. This helps companies make smarter, faster decisions to stay compliant and minimize the risks. In parallel, we use AI to enhance cost optimization, procurement, and packaging efficiency. We map brands' demands data to suppliers' material catalogs, enabling us to match packaging demand and supply a lot more effectively. This approach will help companies build more resilience and future-proof supply chains. And after the webinar, Grace and I are happy to share a demo video of how this really works so you can look into our platform. Now, $700 billion is spent on packaging every single year in the US. Yes, $700 billion. And every business that sells packaged products needs better tools to make smarter decisions. So we bring in companies through regulations, but the real value of what we're building is what comes next, which is packaging procurement. When a company needs to comply, they also need to rethink what they're going to buy. So at Neta, we turn regulatory data into action, helping teams choose smarter materials, lower fee formats, and better designs. We're becoming the platform where packaging gets optimized, and eventually purchased. And on top of that, we're enabling packaging manufacturers to produce exactly what buyers like Chipotle actually need. So that is how we move from a $3 billion regulatory compliance market into a $30 billion plus packaging procurement opportunity. And we are really happy to be here with all of you today as we have the capacity to work with 2 to 3 more companies for our pilots. This is an opportunity for you to be part of the design of the product, tailoring it to your needs before we roll this out in a standardized platform. So if anything of what we've just presented resonates to you, or you think it would resonate to someone in your company, please reach out to us as we are ready to scale and support companies save millions on packaging related costs. I'm Mar Velasco, and this is Neta. Thank you so much, and open for a Q&A.
Great, Mar. Thank you so much. And also, I'm welcoming Grace for the Q&A, a co-founder as well with Neta. So as people pose their questions to the Q&A, at the bottom of your screen, I will get started. So considering all the geopolitical changes that are happening nowadays, what would you say is the main thing that Neta can bring to the table?
Great question. Thank you so much for that. What we bring not only for companies to stay on top of the regulations, what is more important is the cost analysis to inform companies what is the most important decisions or the reactions to these regulations. So we help the companies with these analysis, which right now there's very little visibility on. So with better understanding of cost and where the money is going to go to, this helps company make decisions around where to procure their products, what's format changes as required, and visibility on what's the fees or penalties or any additional costs that will incur as a result of new regulations that are coming in.
Thank you, Grace. And a question that I was actually, it's connected to the next one. Well, tell us a little more about the business model, and also what would it mean to work with you for a pilot for a corporate, but also in the US, outside of the US. Tell us about that.
Yeah, definitely. So we are right now working with any company that sells packaged products into the US. So you can be an international company, but if you sell your products in the US, we are covering the US regulatory landscape as of for now as our go-to-market. So definitely we can support you. The way we're working with our pilots is we are designing the pilots in 3 months. So we design the scope of work with the company that we are going to onboard as a pilot, and we define what regulations and states, so geographical coverage within the US, is most important to the company. We demonstrate how we add value, giving full visibility to the company on what these regulations actually represent for them and how much it's costing it, because procurement normally just looks for the cheapest packaging, but doesn't aggregate all the taxes that come on top of that. There's a lot of new legislations, for example, extended producer responsibility, EPR, that is now incentivizing companies to change to more recyclable, compostable packaging, so more sustainability. What they're doing is taxing a lot more higher fees to the materials that are not as recyclable as others could be. And so what we will do is bring that cost analysis to the company so they can then go back to the procurement and see if they need to make any changes. Our business model is right now we'll define a fixed fee on what that pilot would look like depending on the scope of the work, but then transition into a SaaS subscription model.
Great. Thank you very much to both.